Lifestyle mogul Martha Stewart is featured in March's issue of Harper's Bazaar, available on newsstands now. And in the issue, she dishes up some complicated commentary on the Me Too movement. Martha said that seeing everything play out has been a painful experience for her because she personally knew so many of the accused men. Martha revealed that she came up around these types of men and these men would try and touch you in a cab after having martinis at lunch, and that it was normal to hear a man talk about sex over dinner. And while Martha admitted that some of the men were certainly guilty of what they were accused of, others were simply guilty of having awful personalities. Ladies, what do you think of Martha's messaging here?
I think that what we don't realize is that to some extent, Martha is a victim of the generation and this mentality. So I think while what she's saying may be true, I think even her normalization of it is really sad. And I think that's why our generation needs to denormalize this kind of behavior and make it absolutely unacceptable. Because if we're honest, if we talk to people from other generations, they're like, oh yeah, that's just how men are. Now, that's unacceptable behavior. That is not okay. You taking advantage of me after a few martinis, it's not just the way men are. That is unacceptable behavior. And now, people have to be accountable for their, awful personalities. Those characteristics are no longer acceptable. But sadly, I think when we're hearing it from Martha's perspective, instead of being like, oh, now Martha's canceled, I actually view her as a victim of that generation and what the mindset was of those times. And we need to change that now for this next generation.
Yeah, I think it shows just how much we've evolved as a society. And I think that's, and this is the reason why you need to talk to people like her, because you want to see what women actually had to put up with. Every woman doesn't want to put up with that. And look at the history and how many women probably were stopped from living their lives because of a situation like this. So I'm happy that now today we're calling it out and we're saying this is can you imagine sitting at dinner and a man is just talking all about sex? You don't always want to hear about that. I'm like, it's like a full-fledged dinner and he's just going on about, how big he is or how long he can do it. We're like, dude, we're not here for this.
Now you have an option.
So, exactly. And I think that's what I got out of it. Instead of canceling her, she's 70-something years old. We ain't got time to cancel Martha, but we need to learn from her and say this is not right and this is why we're not doing this. So, good.
It's inappropriate.
Very much so.
It's a tough conversation because I feel like, when you know better, you do better, right? We know that. You guys both said that. But I also feel like back in the day, that's how it was.
Yeah.
And, and I do, and not to diminish or deny anybody's Me Too experience, but I do feel that when the Me Too movement came out, a lot of people piled on because whenever there's a movement, people tend to want to, share their experiences. And I do think some of those were bad dates, bad choices on men, preying on women. I remember around the holidays, that song, It's Cold Outside came out. And we were all
Baby,
singing
it's
to
cold
it.
outside.
And then it's like, baby, it's cold outside. Exactly. And now you're like, when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, wait a minute, he keeps trying to get her to stay, get her to do this, get her to do that. So things have changed. So I don't 100% disagree with her. I just feel like that was the times. We know better now. But also some of those things were just sort of like how it was.